Hey everyone, welcome to The Alternates, a basketball show for the others where we like to showcase independent music and discuss all things basketball. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We are going to be checking out the headliners. We're going to be playing 3-pack. And of course, it's Friday. We're going to the Casino of the Clayton where the owner himself is back.
My return.
The return to the casino. I see what it is. Just in time to make some money.
Exactly.
I see right through it all. We got all that and more coming up right after this, which is Gray Filter by Ritual Veil off their 2018 Wolf in the Night EP on Cosmonaut Records. We'll be right back. What is up, y'all? Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We, of course, are The Alternates. I am your host, Brian Cullen, and with me is the return, the road dog, the axe grinder, the one, the only, Clayton Stevens.
Oh, so happy to be back.
It's
so
great to have you back.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
Shout out to everybody that sat in that chair while you were gone, but I missed you, man.
Oh, I missed you too. And yeah, shout out to Zach and Al and Natasha and Steven and Tyler. It was just an awesome crew of people coming in here. It was fun to watch the show, honestly, from an outside perspective and see some of the segments and games we came up with work with different people. That was kind of cool. But I'm really happy to be back. Really happy to be sitting here talking basketball again.
Yeah, I'm stoked to have a fan's perspective now on the show as you return.
Yes, exactly.
Before we jump into it, I want to take a quick second, ask you all to subscribe to the show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Go ahead and like that video, leave us a rating and review, drop a comment in the comment section, and most importantly, share the show. It helps other people just like you find us, and it helps us find them. It is a beautiful symbiotic relationship that we have with each other here. If you want to get a hold of us, you can do so by emailing us, thealternateshoop@gmail.com, and go ahead and follow the show on TikTok @thealternatesNBA. Clayton, how was tour?
Man, tour was great. Like, This was easily our most successful headlining tour ever. So
That's
that was
awesome.
a really good feeling. You know, it was tough to know how it was going to go.
Yeah.
Right. Like we put out a record during the pandemic, came back to playing shows, opening for a band, finally got to play the shows like in the environment that the songs were intended to be played in, and get feedback from the fans and people. And it was an amazing experience. The bands that we were on tour with were like so inspiring. It was like such a great group of people. I've talked about them on the show, but you know, Vane was the band who was with us the entire time. The very end of the tour, last week of the tour, the drummer Matt broke his arm skateboarding. Okay, so, and this band is a very technical.
Welcome to your 30s.
Yes, very technical, hardcore, like wild band. We had enough drummers between Military Gun and us and everybody. 5 drummers played every night with them for the last week of the tour.
Wow.
The guitar player of Military Gun, this guy Waylon, would come up there, play 2 songs. Then the drummer, Tommy, would play a couple songs. Then Elliot, the drummer of Touche, would play a couple songs. I mean, it was just like, it was amazing. So every night at the last week of the tour was like, we were just a family of people all playing together.
That's
and
awesome.
like screaming, like, yeah, every time they would like nail a fill or whatever. It was like, it was just like such a great family bonding experience. And like, you know, I've gone on a lot of tours, and a lot of times you make friends, and you make friends for a long time. But this was the kind of thing where by the end, we really did feel like family, and it felt hard to like leave them. As tired and exhausted as I was by the end, it felt like I was leaving my family. So an amazing experience. I got to meet a bunch of people who watched this show.
Some alts out there,
which was really fun and like really flattering. And people were like, "Oh no, if it's," I'm like, "No, it." I don't know if anybody's watching or cares, and this is so new for me. So it was a really humbling, cool experience, and I loved it. And I was traveling with a couple people who were a Cavs fan and a Wolves fan, so we're locked in on League Pass every day. There was standings implications during the day, you know, during the games. So it was a great tour, and I just want to shout out everybody who came, everybody who was with us, Jake and Mac, the guys who I was just saying, who are a crew, were the absolute best. So
that rules.
Can't complain.
Wow, Cavs fan and a Wolves fan. What an exciting time to get some basketball heads together.
I know. It was serendipitous.
It was the play-in tour.
It was the play-in tour. That's exactly right. That's really funny. But yeah, that's super true.
Well, speaking of the play-in and all of that's happening, let's jump into headliners.
Let's do it.
So we've got a few headliners here before we get to the actual play-in games. There's one piece we kind of talked about in the last episode, but some stuff has been officially announced, and I think that we should start there. And that's Luka Doncic will be missing game 1 on Saturday against the Jazz.
Yeah, that's in at least game 1.
Yeah.
You know, this is not the type of injury to take lightly. This is really tough news for the Mavericks. Look, there's not a lot to say until we hear from him or we hear some kind of update. But what I do want to say is, look, there's two ways you could look at this. One, this is the break that the Jazz needed. Yeah. They needed something to go their way, and this might be it. On the other hand, the Mavericks this year have been very, very, very resilient. I would be very scared if I were a Utah Jazz fan right now, because, you know, the Mavericks are going to throw some looks at them that they maybe haven't seen yet. Dinwiddie is a proven playoff performer. I like their ability to go small with like a Finney Smith at the 5 and just kind of stretch them out. And we know what Utah doesn't like, being stretched out like that. So we'll see where this goes, but this is big news. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think I might be a little more comfortable for the Mavs side if they had Tim Hardaway Jr., just another guy that can hit a 3.
Can make shots. Yeah.
I think without that extra guy, this is it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah. But, you know, I like the 5 of, let's say, you know, Brunson, Dinwiddie, Finney Smith, Kleber, and then, you know, whoever you throw in there with them. You're right. It's tough. This really affects their depth because he's their main piece. But I'm telling you, I have this feeling inside of me that they're a little dangerous. I love Jalen Brunson in a big game too.
Okay. We will see. Yeah. I mean, Best of luck to Luka. We hope that he heals up quickly.
Yeah.
The basketball gods do not fuck with them. So let's take a look at the play-in tournament games.
Yeah, what happened so far?
So let's start. The first one was Nets-Cavs. The Nets beat the Cavs to secure the 7th seed in the East.
Yep.
Let's start on the Cavs side of things. What did you see from the Cavs? What's your take on their side of this game?
You know, the Cavs all year have sort of struggled offensively, but especially since Jared Allen has left, it's just been tough for them to score at times. And it kind of led to them being in this position. They had a chance to get out of the play-in tournament. And it felt like every time they needed to score a bucket, they couldn't. And in fact, they played Brooklyn right before the play-in tournament, like a week before or whatever. And it was similar kind of thing where like they had every chance to win. They should have, but they couldn't put the ball in the hoop. And I felt like that's really what killed them in the end. Garland had a really nice game, but the rest of the supporting cast just offensively couldn't do it. That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah. And, it's funny. We talk about the offensive struggles and then we mentioned Jared Allen, but like, I actually think that he's a big part of that because he's the guy that can be the roll man. He's the guy that can be in the dunker spot and he's big enough. He's a big enough presence, proven himself enough that he's going to draw defenses in. He's going to bring help defenders off the wing. He's going to do these things as he sets a pick or as he rolls or whatever he does. He does have gravity there that opens up the perimeter a little bit more for everybody else. And I think we're feeling the lack of that on the court. Now, the good news is, it was just announced he is 50-50 on playing the second play-in game. So it looks like he might actually be available. Yeah. Which is wild considering he's out with a fracture. Maybe we see a little like Chris Paul All-Star game from him where he comes out in a cast and says, fuck it. But
yeah, I mean, I think even, 15 minutes of him could really help this team a lot.
Agreed.
Because it's really a depth issue. Too much Kevin Love, too much Mobley trying to be the big man in the center. And if you can just split those minutes up a little bit and get a little more competency, and like you said, throw a couple lobs, a couple easy points. Yeah. It felt like every point that they were getting was Darius Garland going crazy on his own, having to beat someone off the dribble or whatever. Or, Isaac Okoro not being guarded in the corner. Tough break for them. Yeah. But I think this could be a big thing for them, but just didn't have the firepower like the Nets did. What did you see from the Nets side?
I saw Kevin Durant and I saw Kyrie Irving, but those guys are going to be those guys. There were two standout players to me on the Nets side. One was Bruce Brown, your guy.
My guy.
Who was incredible. He was crashing the boards. He was doing a little bit of everything. He was playmaking. He was all over the place. I thought he was great. And this was a big question for me going into this was Nick Claxton, right? Who's had a very up and down season in terms of like what his role is with this team, his playing time. And I didn't know if Nash was going to utilize him in this situation. And he did. And I loved it. He was so good in his minutes in that game. Nick Claxton is a guy that kind of goes unappreciated a lot of the times. And he just proved why I love him in that game is just the intensity that he plays with, everything that he brings, his, defensive abilities. I loved watching those two guys. Like those two stood out to me because what you're getting from the stars, but I really feel like the production from those two guys made this game.
Yeah. And I think Steve Nash he did what he did last playoffs too, which is he kind of saved this Bruce Brown play, which is completely unstoppable when you have enough shooting out there with those guys, which is he sets a pick, he rolls to the middle, he's wide open, and he either kind of throws up that little floater that's pretty money. Yeah. He'll get to the rim or he kicks it out to one of these shooters if they crash on him. He's a really good decision maker. He's a great rebounder, clutch rebounder. Yeah. He absolutely was a gigantic force in this game, really made his presence felt. He's so small, but he plays so big. Huge, yeah. And Nick Claxton, opposite of what we're saying of the Cavs here, he provided a little bit of defensive anchor, I thought, at times. Like, he wasn't blocking shots or anything crazy, but he was around the rim. He was doing just enough defensively.
He's making guys uncomfortable.
He was, exactly. That's exactly right. And on that same defensive tip, we're hearing maybe a Ben Simmons return coming up, right? Yeah. Shams Charania saying maybe somewhere between games 4 and 6. Interesting timeline.
It is. It's also much needed. You know, we talked about the Cavs having a couple opportunities to get into this game, and ultimately it was the firepower of the Nets that won it. But man, going against Boston, you are going to need to bring that defense back up. And look, even in limited minutes, Ben Simmons helps with that, right? Like you don't need Ben Simmons taking shots. You don't even really need him playmaking as much as he was in Philly. You need Ben Simmons, the defender. Yep. And that's what the Nets are really missing right now. So if they get him, that's huge for them. That gives them a little bit more of a fighting chance in the series, I think.
I agree. Yeah.
All right. So this next game, the Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Clippers and they secure the 7th seed in the West. What's your takeaway on the Wolves here?
My first takeaway is that you were very disrespectful of the Timberwolves in your last episode with Natasha. I 100% would have favored them in this game. Just being the home team in a 1-game setting like this, I would just go with Vegas, go with what they're saying. And this game basically went exactly as Vegas said it was going to go.
Yeah.
You know, from the Timberwolves side, I thought Anthony Edwards stepped up to the plate, showed
fearless,
absolutely fearless, did everything that you could ever want him to do. And it ended up opening up the floor for a guy like D'Angelo Russell. Yeah. Because
he was incredible.
They were so scared of Anthony Edwards and having to try and get the ball out of his hands at times that D'Lo was getting all kinds of great looks and he was knocking him down. We know he's a great shooter. The Wolves played exactly how they have all season, you know, really, or especially the second half of the season, really, we could say. Patrick Beverley put his stamp on the game, of course. Mm-hmm. I thought they played a great game. The Clippers kind of blew it, for being honest.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think the Timberwolves rightfully earned this game. They were the better team all season, and that's kind of what I saw. What about you?
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, guys like Vanderbilt, guys like Rain City's Dark Prince.
McDaniels, he was nice in this game.
They were good. They played their roles perfectly. And look, I had picked the Clippers leaning more on the side of just a little more experience.
Yeah.
And you know, like, yes, the second half of the season was great for the Wolves, but they did backslide a little bit towards the end of the season. But watching them, it looked like maybe that was just them kind of a little senioritis, knowing that the season was kind of coming to a close, and maybe that's what it was. I also think that the Clippers didn't have a game plan for a catless Wolves team. And so
yeah, he exits the game, and
look, Scott Foster was the superstar of the night. He, like, the officiating on both sides was terrible, but yeah, credit to the Wolves, you know, and credit to maybe the best defensive player we've ever seen in the play-in tournament, which was Glue Lady, who completely swung the momentum in that game. But no, I mean, look, the Wolves, they deserve it. People were kind of clowning on them for celebrating as hard as they did. Patrick Beverley throwing his jersey into the crowd, crying. But look, they beat the Clippers, who have been a laughing stock of the NBA for a long time, except for maybe the last decade, right? And even then, it's hard for them to shake it. The Wolves' history is not that much better, and they don't have a ton of success in it. And they've been trying for the last few years so hard to get into the playoffs. So yeah, they deserve to celebrate this one.
Absolutely.
Nobody's taken them seriously. You know, they've kind of become a joke about missing the playoffs. And so, yeah, I think to come in and be able to do that, and Patrick Beverley, especially against the team who he said gave him a borderline disrespectful offer, and then ended up trading him, like, yes, this meant a lot to all of them. So it was great to see that.
And traveling with the Timberwolves fan, you know, watching this game, you know, he said, look, Target Center was rocking like he's never seen it. And he said, including the KG era, this was the craziest that crowd has been going. They wanted what the team gave them. It was a symbiotic thing. It wasn't the team going crazy and no one in the fans going crazy. It was the energy in the room, and you could palpably feel it through the screen, let alone, I can't even imagine being there. They totally earned this victory. From the Clipper side, look, you know, a couple of games of Paul George and Norman Powell's not a lot. And in a 1-game situation like this, you need everybody to perform well. And I just thought Paul George was good. Norman Powell was okay. Reggie Jackson was kind of bad.
Yeah.
And that was just enough for the Timberwolves to get a victory at home.
Yeah. I mean, look, Reggie Jackson, we all know Mr. June, what he's able to do in the playoffs, but he also played 43 minutes. These guys were gassed at the end of it. I think some of this is on Ty Lue, if I'm being honest, in terms of just some of the rotations. I think a bit more Rocco and, Robert Covington in that fourth quarter would have helped them out a lot. Norm, who knows, what's going on with this conditioning, but I think he needs to be a little more aggressive in order for them to win that game. And then more Terrence Mann to give Reggie Jackson a little more break going into the fourth quarter.
That would be my main one. I'm with you on the Covington thing. I think he's a really, really good defensive player and can make his mark on the game. But I thought Terrence Mann, every time he was in the game, was all over the place.
100%.
And just swinging the momentum. He had that block where he grabbed it out of the air.
Yeah.
One of the best defensive plays of his career. I would like to see him played a lot more and have the ball in his hands a lot more, because in the end, you're going to have PG and Powell making plays for themselves more. You don't need a point guard to facilitate as much. I think Terrence Mann's plenty capable of doing that.
100%. All right, next game. We had the Hawks beat the Hornets, shutting down the Hornets season. Let's start with the Hornets. Do you have any takes on what you saw from them?
A little lifeless. A little bit of a disappointing outcome. I thought in the first half they competed, but as soon as the third quarter started, you could just kind of feel like they were out of this game and just didn't feel like they were competing at the same level. Their defensive struggles have been talked about on the show plenty.
Yeah.
And the rim was wide open. That
was my biggest thing. Was it just proved that, look, the rumors are already starting that they're, possibly interested in a Russell Westbrook trade.
I hate this idea.
I don't like it either. I don't like it for several reasons. One, it's not answering the biggest question that they have this offseason. And before you take on a massive contract like that and potentially take the ball out of LaMelo Ball's hands a little bit more.
Yeah.
You need to figure out what's out there this offseason that can improve your defense, because look, this team is incredible offensively. They need to balance the scales a little bit. And I think that is the biggest question for this team moving forward, is how are they going to do that? That needs to be priority one for them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think this was, a lost season for the Hornets or anything. I do think they took an important step forward. I think they were a much better team than they were last year.
Absolutely.
LaMelo Ball is improving, and most of the main young guys on their team improved in a real way. But you're right. The question is, their most expensive player is Gordon Hayward, who didn't even play in this game. He's always injured. What are they going to do with that? Are they going to find a way to move off of him for a more defensive guy? That would be ideal, I think.
Yeah.
The Russell Westbrook idea is insane.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense to me. We shouldn't even talk about it.
We have an
anymore.
Entire summer to speculate on that one.
It's ridiculous. But so not much takeaway. Miles Bridges, I think, said it all.
Yeah. Now on the Hawks side, they're doing it again, right? Yeah. Like they're turning it on at the right time. And Trae Young was just okay in this game. He didn't have a massive Trae Young game, but for me, it was kind of the peripheral guys. I thought Gallinari was great in this game. I thought a lot of their role players really stepped up, and that was the difference maker. And look, you didn't get a huge, 40, 50 point game from Trae Young, but I think his gravity opened up enough so that those other guys could shine. Yeah.
Herder was phenomenal in the second half. I thought DeAndre Hunter was probably the second best player in this game, period.
Yeah.
When those guys are hitting shots and doing stuff, they're a really, really tough team to beat. My thing with the Hawks right now, though, is that they have put themselves in a really tough position.
Yeah.
Right. And like I've said earlier in the episode, I favor the home team in a 1-game situation. If this were a series for them moving forward, versus the Cavs, who they're going to be playing next, I would absolutely favor them. They have a lot more talent. They're just a better team straight up. But in a 1-game situation on the road, I mean, they are going to have to bring it. They have put themselves in quite a hole here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's do or die.
Right?
For everybody.
Exactly. The Hawks all year have been this team that we cannot figure out. One night they put up 150 points. They look like the most unstoppable offensive team you've seen. The next night, they're just a complete dud.
Yeah.
They need to bring it from a spiritual level. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
Like
I like that.
that's what they really need. Like they need to be invested in this game and care.
Soul search before you take the floor.
They really do. Like this team needs to look at themselves and be like, why are we here?
Yeah.
We are so much better than this. Like
Yeah.
what are we doing playing 2 play-in games to get into the playoffs?
We need Cam Reddish. No, I like that. I like that take on it. I respect that. All right, moving on. Last game. The Pelicans beat the Spurs, proving me wrong yet again.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Spurs.
Okay. Yeah.
For me, looking at the Spurs, kind of how you were saying with the Hornets, I saw a team that didn't look wildly interested. I'm not saying that they completely mailed it in, but it wasn't the effort that we've seen from the Spurs all year. And look, not like they were like world beaters by any means, right? They almost defaulted into the play-in.
I think they really did. Like they tried to win as many games as they could, pop coach them up. They really have no business being the 10th seed here, honestly. The Lakers handed it to them. Definitely.
But for me, the hallmark of a pop team is a team that just goes hard and tries all the time. And I didn't see that all 4 quarters. So that was kind of the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm very high on their future moving forward. Yeah. I love a lot of these young guys. I thought Vassell had a nice game. And I thought Lonnie Walker had a really great game, one of his better games.
Yeah.
But yeah, DeJounte Murray was like, it was one of his most like mediocre games I've ever seen. Like it was like the downside of what you would think DeJounte Murray is. Because like the threes weren't going in. The shot looked kind of rough. It was like, this is why he's not at that elite level.
He's also been sick.
And he's been sick. And, and that totally could be playing a factor here. I think just the end of the season malaise and probably some of that all together. They just don't have the talent that New Orleans has. From the New Orleans side, look, I mean, the Smoothie King Center, it's still called the Smoothie King Center. Yeah, it was rocking.
Yeah,
it was rocking. The fans are behind this team. CJ McCollum was unbelievable in this game. Just,
I mean, dude, it all started with that 360 Zion dunk before anybody took the floor. Did you see that thing?
I actually didn't see that. Ooh. No. I missed that.
He, during warmups, ran out on the floor and threw down a disgustingly big 360 dunk.
I'm confused by these Zion dunks.
I don't know. I'm not reading the tea leaves anymore.
No sense to me, but forget Zion. He's not even a part of this team. If he comes back, he comes back.
No, if we're talking dunks in this game, Brandon Ingram's 2-handed slam in that first quarter was unreal.
Phenomenal. And, you know, the guy who's been the MVP of the Pelicans season, yes, CJ was the best player in the game. Yes, Brandon Ingram is their most consistent scorer. But for their entire season, Herb Jones.
Yeah.
Herb Jones was absolutely phenomenal. I thought Doris Burke did a great job of highlighting, like, this guy is a elite defender as a rookie. He tries super hard, great rebounder, you know, a good enough offensive player and can hit an open shot and was just kind of that glue piece everywhere. And between him and Jose Alvarado, they have completely changed how this team plays.
Yeah.
They now play with a ton of spirit. When one of those two guys, if not both, are on the floor, you can't help but play hard.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's infectious.
Exactly. And now they have Ingram and CJ, two guys who can really fill it up. They're a dangerous team.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they earned this one. I mean, they basically won this game wire to wire. It'll be interesting to see how they match up with the Clippers through the season. They've not been the Clippers have struggled against them. While they don't have home court, it'll be interesting to see how the Clippers fare against another young athletic team.
Yeah, totally. I will again go with my classic. It's one game. I'm going to favor the home team. And from a talent perspective, I do think the Clippers are a little bit ahead of them. I do favor them, but certainly the Pelicans are a dangerous team. You got to watch out for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving forward, I think the next couple of years are going to be pretty bright for them.
And if you know, Zion's, what was it, his stepfather or who was it?
Oh, it was a stepdad, yeah.
Stepdad said that he's going to return. If that really means he's going to return next season, that's really good news in New Orleans.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's have some fun. Let's play 3-pack.
All right.
So I've been playing this with you on the road. It's still my favorite game, still having a ton of fun with it, but I've missed playing with you.
Yeah.
I have stumped some people. It's not the same as stumping you, though.
Fair enough.
I just get it's a different type of joy from stumping you.
Yeah.
So we just spent some time talking about the play-in tournament, talking about some of these teams. And the one team that I've been the most kind of excited by has inspired today's 3-pack.
Okay.
And you said something earlier that makes me a little nervous about my ability to stump you on this one, because this is a Timberwolves 3-pack.
Oh, okay.
And I wonder if maybe one of your guys on the crew that was the Wolves fan, I hope he didn't give you too much history on the Wolves, but so we're looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves today. They were created in 1987 as part of an NBA expansion that included 3 other teams. Real quick, can you name? This isn't part of the game. I'm just curious. Can you name the other 3 teams?
Not that fast off the top of my head. I have to think for a minute.
One of them was in the play-in tournament.
One of them was in the play-in tournament. And obviously not New Orleans.
It's the Hornets.
The Hornets.
So the Hornets,
right. Okay,
the Magic,
yes.
and the Heat were part of the same expansion.
I knew that from an earlier 3-pack too. I should have gotten that right away. Yes, the Hornets.
So they played their inaugural season in 89-90. That was the Timberwolves' first season. Now let's get to this. Tidbit 1. As a team with a lot of unfortunate years, they have had several high lottery picks. One of the most interesting was Christian Laettner.
Ah, yes.
Who was picked 3rd overall in 1992. But here's what I find so interesting about this. He was named to the men's Olympic team, the Dream Team, as a collegiate player before ever being drafted into the NBA.
Yep.
Tidbit 1.
Okay.
Tidbit 2. As a franchise, the Wolves have made the playoffs a total of 9 times. In their entire history, they've only made the postseason 9 times, and they've only advanced past the first round once. In 2004, they went all the way to the Western Conference Finals. So the one time they got out of the first round, they almost made it to the finals. Tidbit 3. Kevin Garnett, legend, is still the franchise leader for totals in most traditional stats. That includes games, minutes, points, blocks, rebounds, and steals, but not in assists, which is held by former first-round pick Ricky Rubio. It's the all-time assist leader for the Timberwolves. Sniff out the lie.
Okay. Well, the first one, Christian Laettner. That one's true. I know that one.
Okay.
He was selected as a collegiate player. He was the best player in college basketball. It kind of made sense at the time, other than leaving Isaiah Thomas off the team.
Okay. Yeah.
Which he kind of replaced, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
I know that one to be true. The second one, the second one going to the Western Conference Finals. I don't think they've made the Western Conference Finals. I believe that is the lie. I believe Kevin Garnett has most of the traditional stats, and that Ricky Rubio is the all-time assist leader. Both played for the Timberwolves a long time.
Okay, all right. Well, you're wrong.
Oh!
I stumped you. They did in 2004 go to the conference finals. They knocked out the Nuggets in round 1. They knocked out the Kings in round 2. And they lost to the Lakers in 6 games in the Western Conference Finals of 2004.
Wow.
Kevin Garnett is the all-time assist leader for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, again, not surprising. Wait, you're saying Kevin Garnett is
the all-time assist leader.
So I see. Right. Yeah. That's the lie. Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
He also leads in all those other categories.
But it's him above Ricky Rubio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You know, they haven't had a lot of guys stick around for a lot of years. Kevin Garnett, that makes sense. I would have said 2004 Western Conference Finals was the Kings. So that's where my memory.
When I saw that they beat the Kings in the second round, I was like, ooh, I think that's going to mess with his head a little bit.
That's exactly right. Obviously, there's the famous Kings 2002 Western Conference Finals with the Lakers, where they definitely should have gone. And I think a lot of people out there that aren't Lakers fans think that there was some shenanigans going on there. Very good job with that one. You did get me on that. That's funny.
Were you getting a lot of information about the Wolves, or was it just kind of talking about this season?
You know what? So the guy's name is Mac. He's been our merch guy for a little bit now.
Shout out Mac.
Shout out Mac. And he was a Timberwolves fan during the KG era.
Yeah.
Left basketball, basically, like didn't kind of
Retired.
stopped watching basketball, got out of the game and came back for Anthony Edwards. Heard about Anthony Edwards being drafted, heard that this guy was going to be really good and was like, I'm going to start watching. And all of a sudden now he's like the biggest Wolves fan you'll ever meet.
It's hard not to be when a 20-year-old phenom is running everything.
So exactly. He's been on a pretty good era. So I think he would have probably missed this one as well. Possibly.
That was KG that went to the Western Conference Finals.
He's a couple years younger than me. Tough to say, but that was a good one. You got me on that.
Bonus fact:
Western Conference Finals.
Got bounced in the Western Conference Finals and then missed the playoffs for the next 13 years. Yeah.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah, they have been through a lot, which is why I fully support the celebration after winning the play-in game.
Yep.
But let's have a little more fun.
Yeah.
The croupier is back.
I'm back.
And we're going to go to the Casino of Clayton in this week's Bet Brains. This is the first time in almost 2 months that Clayton, of the famed Casino of Clayton, is present in the casino. Before we jump in, I do want to say, like, thank you for setting those lines. You know, all the lines that happened in Bet Brains while Clayton was gone, you were sending those in to me before every Friday show. So thank you. You did an awesome job. You know, it was great despite you picking on, my Magic maybe a bit too much, but they're done now. So you no longer have a target to pick on. So I'm curious to see where we go from here.
We have some fun ones. Let's go through the old bets though, real quick. The last ones we got 3 bets here. We had Golden State at San Antonio and then Sunday at New Orleans. I had Golden State making more 3-pointers in both games. Felt pretty easy. They lost. The first game, the Spurs made 10 and they only made 8.
Yeah.
Second game, they made 19. So they actually destroyed them in the second game. But tough loss there on that one. Next bet we had here, we had the Clippers back-to-back.
Yeah.
Saturday versus Sacramento and Sunday versus Oklahoma. I knew this one was going to bother you a little bit. I had Clippers out-rebounding both opponents. You only put $40 on it, and it won. You had no faith in them. They out-rebounded 48-42 in the first one, 57-40 in the second one.
Yeah, that second game where they played a high school team from Oklahoma really did it in for me.
That was one of the greatest tank games of all time. The Clippers have been involved in 2 all-time great tank games. They themselves tanked a game last year using Daniel Oturu to no end. But Oklahoma just took it to them and got that ultra crazy 50-point loss. And the last one here, we had Miami at Orlando Sunday, and I had the Magic holding the Heat to under 102.5. Come on, this was a positive one for the Magic. Well, they won the game.
They did.
But the Heat scored 111 points.
Whatever, dude. Whatever. They won.
So you lost on that one. So in total, you lost $80, whatever. You won 120, but you lost 80.
It's a drop in the bucket,
They come
man.
and they go. I know
My parlay money is still
Your parlay
long.
money is still doing you well. We got 3 brand new fresh bets for you here.
What do we got?
These are fun playoff bets. Now, I wanted to do something a little positive because we got a lot of games this weekend. It's going to be, you got to lock in with coffee and food, and I mean this is gonna be a marathon of watching. So I put some fun ones here to watch out for.
Okay.
So first one, I got Raptors at Sixers Saturday, game 1. I have Joel Embiid going over 34.5 points and 15.5 rebounds at plus 120 odds. I said it there because I think if they're going to win this series or any game really, Joel Embiid's got to give me 35 and 16 every game. What do you think?
Yeah, so I talked about this last week with this particular matchup and how I think the urgency is on to get that 2-0 record going into Toronto without their best perimeter.
100%.
And I think they know that. Give me the 40 and 20 line by Joel Embiid. I'm going to put $50 on it.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs the rebounds is high. Look, I get it. 16 rebounds, but They don't really have anyone over 6'9", and 6'9" is not big enough for Joel Embiid,
look,
so he needs to dominate the boards.
6'9" is nice most of the time. Not nice with this matchup.
Yep. All right, so the next game, I got Timberwolves at Grizzlies Saturday. Memphis going to be going absolutely insane. Crazy environment. I'm going to have you pick.
Ooh, a pick 'em.
One of two people to lead the game in scoring. One, you could go with the hometown favorite, Ja Morant, at plus 120 odds. Or you can go with the road and go with Anthony Edwards at plus 300 to lead the game in scoring.
All right. This is going to be an interesting one. Look, the Wolves, they've got an uphill battle. I think the Grindhouse is one of the most intimidating buildings to play a road game in.
Yes.
Make it a playoff atmosphere on top of that. Ja Morant is a relentless dude. Their defense is strong. I like the odds, though. Call it recency bias. I'm going with Anthony Edwards here.
I'm so happy you went there.
And it's mostly because what I saw in his game against the Clippers was just pure fearlessness.
Yep.
He did not quiver once under the bright lights. And I think he's going to bring that momentum into this game. So I'm going to put $50 down with Ant leading the game in scoring.
I love that. Quick question. Who's going to guard Anthony Edwards on the Grizzlies?
That's a great question.
I think the obvious answer is Dylan Brooks. Anthony Edwards is going to kill him if it's Dylan Brooks. That's what I think. I mean, he's just too big, too fast, too strong. It's a tough matchup for them.
Yeah, I think they're going to throw multiple looks at him.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a lot of blitzing. I think that we might see another, I mean, this might go against the bet I just made, but
right.
a lot of looks for D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah. It might be a D'Lo game, might be a Cat game, but I like going with the better odds here. And like you said, he's been fearless.
Yeah.
So we shall see. And the last one here, this was a game I had a tough time setting a line for and figuring out what to do, but then it hit me. Bucks and Bulls. Of course, we are in Milwaukee for game 1 on Sunday. Look, the Bucks are heavily favored in this series. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people even picking a sweep.
Yeah.
That's just sort of where it's at right now. If the Bulls are going to compete, it's going to come down to their best player, the guy who's led them all season, had one of the best scoring seasons we've ever seen, DeMar DeRozan. I have DeMar DeRozan going over 2.5 3-pointers made in this game at plus 280 odds. Can DeMar hit 3 threes in this game?
Okay. This is an interesting one. I love that this is a matchup. For people that don't know, the regional Midwest, they are only 2 hours away from each other.
Like that, yeah.
You could literally take a train from downtown both cities. So it is going to be a feisty crowd. Now, DeMar has not been great at shooting 3-pointers this year.
Oh, no. And in fact, this has been one of his worst 3-point shooting seasons of his entire career.
Yeah. But this is the Bruce Brown effect. I think he's been throwing those.
Yes, saving it.
He spent 82 games harvesting doubt in the minds of his opponents of his ability to hit these threes. Milwaukee's going to leave him open on the perimeter. He's going to take them. They're going to splash. I'm going 50, 50, 50 in the casino this week. Put $50 on it.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, look, if the Bulls are going to pull off an upset and maybe even just get one game in Milwaukee, which of course is their, that should be their goal. Can we get one game and come back home? Someone like DeMar DeRozan is going to have to do something that they don't normally do. And I'm with you. I think he can get a couple wide open threes and really mess with the Bucks.
Give me Hero DeMar. All right, so we're going to check back on these lines next Friday, see how I did. That's going to be the show. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
So stoked to have you back, dude. This is great.
So stoked to be back. Draymond Green said it best. There's 82 game players and there's 16 game players. The superstar has returned for the playoffs to lead us to the finals. I'm back.
The real casual showing up just in time for the postseason.
Oh no, this is no casual shit, man. This is big time stuff here from from me.
All right. Well, I see you fearless in the big lights. So I'm getting some Anthony Edwards vibes from you. We will be back Tuesday recapping the first games of the first round, which is very exciting. Plus taking a look at how the end of the play-in rolls out. Plus playing some games and all that and a whole lot more. Remember to be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other. And we are going to leave you with what song are we leaving them with today, Clayton?
Okay, we are leaving you with a song that I listened to a lot on this tour. It was a cold and rainy tour, to be honest, a lot of it. So this song got a lot of play. It's the new Soft Kill song. It's called Press Play from the 7-inch of the same title that's on one of our favorite labels, Convulse Records out of Denver. Just came out. You can pre-order it now. It's a great song.
Awesome. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
I found a way to save something. But you say that you don't need it. Here we are on the exact same